Hi, welcome to my channel. Today, I'm out taking a walk. Not a walk, but taking a ride. My dog didn't want to come with me. I'm like, okay, stay home, watch the house. She my loyal partner, whether she with me or she taking care of the home base. I should use this opportunity to go get a car wash. Yes. But then I could wash my car at home. A lot cheaper. Okay? So anyway, of course, strategic spiritual attacks was waged upon me. Okay? And I accepted them. I was like, okay, no problem. Right? Made me dizzy, made me feel like I had vertigo. I pushed through it, pushed it back, told that shit to return to sender. Back, 50 feet. Right? Because here's the thing. I'll never believe in honor among thieves. No, I won't. Right? And I certainly don't believe in cooperation by force. That's, you already know, my definition is, negotiating with terrorists, and we don't do that. Okay? So, I believe in living, live and let live, but I will defend myself to live. Don't get it twisted. Yeah. So, for intelligent people, this is where the conversation can stop. They're like, oh, okay, received the message, got the message, but to the dummies out there, who want to engage in playing games, and they think that, if I get them to engage, I invented the game, therefore I invent the rules, and all I need for them to do is engage. And it's like, we're not engaging. We're not playing games. Right? So if you can't win by playing games, what else you gonna do? What else you gonna do? Well, what they think they can do is now try to strategically create more laws, okay? And this is what I'm gonna need for my spiritual warriors to do. I'm gonna need for y'all to start going to these council meetings in your area and surrounding areas. You're gonna have to start reporting on what is being discussed, changed, or created. Okay? Because I don't know how you guys are sitting up here thinking that you're going to make a change, and yet you don't know anything about legislation. You've got to learn about legislation starting in your local community, which is what? The council meetings. Get your asses into the council meetings and report back to the people who also don't have time, don't have the knowledge, don't have the ability to go to these council meetings. right? And who knows? You might even become a form of lobbyist, right? What do lobbyists do? Lobbyists are out here promoting for the welfare of a particular party. Although, the lobbyists today, they're getting paid big money. And sometimes that big money means that they have to orchestrate a whole scenario to promote a product, a company, you name it. And it could be a massive production. Kind of like that production that was going on, in California, when they were doing the protest. Kind of like that, yeah. So, and that's the difference, to me, that's the difference in people who are slicksters. People who are slicksters, they operate like their life depends on it. Outstanding people, they act like they have all the time in the world until they don't. And the problem is when they don't have all of the time in the world, they're too civilized, to make abrupt changes, right? So this is why I'm saying, to the civilized people out there in the world, you need to start being more proactive, right? Even the religious people out there in the world. Y'all been sitting up here talking about you're exempt. Are you exempt now? Are you? I want to know. Are you exempt now? When people are coming to your churches and giving you 10% that you can live off of. Are you exempt now when you don't have money to pay the bills? Are you exempt now? Right? When I told you around the first of the year, I said, religious people, you guys need to step up in this battle. Stop acting like you're exempt. But you didn't. You went back to doing the same old bullshit. But I'm going to ask you, are you exempt now? Are you exempt from your church going bankrupt? I want to know. Right? You tried to pretend like you was a safe haven, a safe harbor, right? And yet not even the homeless can sleep in your vacant rooms. The difference is we've come to a period of time where the people need lobbyists for the people. The only lobbyists out there are for these companies. These agendas, right? And yet, every day another law gets implemented that you could have stopped if you had recognized that they was getting ready to put it into law. Okay, let's talk about it. The no parking overnight or sleeping at all on public streets? Why weren't you in that council meeting? And then, even though it's been passed, right? Even though it's been passed in a lot of cities, right? Why aren't you knowledgeable on how to get it repealed, revoked, right? At what point in the game are you going to actually take action? Actually take action. Actually take action. Actually take action. It's got a nice ring to it. Actually take action. So, I think that's what I'll title this video. Actually take action. Okay? Why haven't you guys, found out how to stop these corporations, from receiving your tax money while creating a whole slavery system that involves people being employed under temporary contracts through employment agencies, right? They're paying the employment agency $26, $28 an hour. The employment agency's paying you $15, $16 an hour to work temporarily. Okay? And you can best believe if the agency decides that they want to replace you with somebody else that they favor, they can do that without the employer's authorization. Right? So even if you wanted to, prove some type of discrimination, you're not going to be able to, because you're going to be jumping through too many hoops. Because neither the employment agency or the employer is going to want to take accountability. And then you don't have the funds, to hire an attorney that goes after all of the deep pockets. You just don't. Okay? So, where does this start? It starts at your local council meetings. And you'd be surprised. The council meetings really aren't even that long. And they're not even every day. And usually they have a schedule. Every now and then, it's an emergency, scheduled meeting, but not regularly. And that's where it starts on how, the people want to spend their money. If the people want to spend their money keeping, a hardened criminal in the justice system for life, who gave the authorization to change that? And why wasn't the audit in place? Why wasn't there somebody always, listening with their ear to the ground about what's going on? And then you guys look ridiculous after the fact of trying to change, trying to change the law. They're like, well, where were you when the law was being created? And some of you can't even say that you had to work. With the unemployment rate the way that it is right now, a lot of you could be out there doing some good. Especially if, you got caught up in a situation where now you got to volunteer. You have to volunteer just to get food stamps, just so that you and your family can eat. You should definitely be one of those people down there at the council office, volunteering, working to give a report, a news reporting on council meetings. Where you at? I ain't seen you. Every now and then you'll see somebody that will actually try to report about what's going on. But usually that's after the fact. Very few people, I ain't seen not one. I have not seen not one person out here with the recording about what is really going on in the council meetings today. Current time frame. Right? And usually, if you're there currently, they first have to discuss topics to be discussed, right? Then they have to discuss the topics. Then they have to make deciding decisions on what to do about it. And then they have to turn it into law. So between those 4 stages, where the fuck are you all? So, what's today? Today is Monday. By this time next week, by Monday of next week, I'm expecting to see channels opening up and discussing what is going on in the council meetings. Right? I was waiting around. I thought that once they started, videotaping, that this was going to be a way of them, allowing the public to see their meetings. But you see, they opened it up and then they went back into hiding so that they can get these laws passed without your knowledge. All right? Because they technically can have a council meeting channel where the public can actually watch legislation remotely. And there's a reason why they don't allow it. They don't allow it because they don't want people to interfere with what they got going on. Right? at all these men out here. Look at this. Look. You see what they do? That's a fraternity. That's a fraternity. Out here, like fucking rams. Herd of rams. So, yeah, it's 6:30 at night on a Monday, and they're deciding to try to get some exercise in. You see how deep they was. How did they coordinate that? If you just think about, they took time to coordinate that. If they can take the time to coordinate a massive bicycle ride, they can also coordinate any other thing that all of us who are disunited, disconnected, disenfranchised cannot do. All right, I'm starting to get a little bit upset. Let me hold on. Hold on! And so the problem with being disenfranchised is being able to have trustworthy information. Okay? You can't have trustworthy information because you don't know who's trustworthy and who's not. Why? Because you've been disenfranchised. So, how do you get hooked back up? You get hooked back up by starting to create qualified unions. Don't get into unions with just anybody. You have to have qualified, responsible unions. Right? What does that mean? That means you have to live a life full of intentions. If your life is not full of intentions and you don't know what your purpose in life is, and you just think that you can just be a leaf in the wind, then get mad when you get blown around and thrown in the trash. What the hell? You're not making any sense. Right? As if people hadn't told you 1,000 times that nobody's coming to save you. Even your church leaders were corrupt. They've altered the Bible. Okay. Remember when I was talking about honorable mention? White Rock Lake has received an updated, brand new sign from generous donors. Yes, very beautiful. It's digital. It's lit up. It's updated. Right? Honorable mention. And I know some of you might even be asking, well, if you know all of this, then why? Why? Well, I didn't have to because, you know, I'm a borderline baby boomer. And things was pretty much going my way, okay? I didn't have no complaints, right? But from what I can see, the things that has been going on now, you know, deserves to be challenged. Okay? It deserves to be challenged with, you know, our leaders and our government and our communities. They don't care if you're homeless. And then, if you are, if they have any kind of care, it's only under the programs of mental illness or drug addiction. But everybody else, they don't care nothing about them. Right? As if it can't happen to them, and yet it's happening to them. They're struggling even harder to maintain their position. Right? The business owners, they're straining really hard to keep their position because, hey, these homeless people, they don't need your services. They don't need your prepared foods. They don't need your plumbing. You know, they don't need your electrical work. Just what the hell was you thinking? You were thinking that there is enough population in the world to displace people, right? Well, the people that you're going to replace the displaced people with, they're not going to have the same values that you do. See, you didn't think about that, did you? Right? And with your racist ass, you cannot live generations after generations with people that you don't think has the same value as you. But that's okay, right? It's going to be okay up until you lose everything, right? Because in your mind, you're not going to lose everything until everybody beneath you loses everything. And that's where you're wrong. That's absolutely where you're wrong. And you thought that you was going to be able to keep doing your bankruptcies. Oh, I'm going to do bankruptcy. You know, they're going to appreciate me, you know, so much that they're going to let me write off all my debts. No, they're not. No, they're not. You're going to have to put your business up for collateral in order for you to even get a reconstruction loan. A bankruptcy loan, you're going to have to relinquish all of the business. And yet, to you, it's going to seem like the end of the world. You're going to hope that if you go and you do a mass shooting, that's going to make you, you know, be heard more than other people. No, it's not. No, it's not. They're just going to write you off as one of the people who couldn't handle the change. That's it. That's all. That might have been true when there was a middle class. But there's no middle class now. So who do you think they're going to take from now? Who do you think they're going to take from now? They can't take from the poor unless they find some place to put them. Unless they start offering up suicide centers. And even then, they can't take from a dead body. What are they going to take? The organs? Usually their organs are trash by the time they get homeless. They're not even worth trying to sell on the market. They're diseased. And most of those people, half of those people are old people. Right? Where, you said, well, I'll just follow the old people. The old people, they're on fixed income, right? And this is another thing that I'm talking about. Older people, instead of, enabling the young people to live off of you, to make your environment unsafe, to hide behind you like a shield, you're going to have to start developing even more exclusive senior housing. But with that, you're going to have huge HOA fees, security, when, you shouldn't have enabled them in the first place. If you know somebody's going to come and stay with you over 2 weeks, you should have put them, either you should have made them get on the lease, or you should have made them move along. I don't understand when the privacy of a transient becomes more important than the privacy of a resident. Just like I don't understand how the protest of an unregistered voter is more important than a property owner that's paying both property taxes, income taxes, and doing volunteer work, to try to cultivate, a society worth living. I don't understand how in the world you can't make women a protected class when, women are the main caretakers of the children. And then, you specifically developed a welfare program so they could, at least, survive with the children. But then, you don't give them any protection. You can say that, yes, maybe half of those women wanted those men. The other half, no. They were lassoed in, tied up, coerced, intimidated, forced to submit like chattel. And yet, they couldn't call the police to get them motherfuckers removed out of their home. You see it all the time. You can see the videos all the time where these women are like, this guy won't get out of my house. And this motherfucker's laying up on her couch talking about he lives there and it's his house. Right? And this is, what do you call it? You will accept the word of a liar talking about this is his house and this is a housing project, where housing projects are for women and children. I'm telling you, derelict of duty all around the board. All around the board, you know, and it's got to stop. It's got to stop or it's going to defeat you. It's going to defeat you. You guys think, oh, you know, if you defeat the woman, that means you guys are going to be uplifted. No, you're not. Nothing in no life form is ever better than its roots. And women are the roots. Life grows from the woman. Right? It goes wu, which is the woman, and then man. Man came after the woman. You have to stop perpetuating the fucking lie. You know, and get out of your fucking ego. Is that an electrical Yukon? I think it is. Is that an electrical Yukon? So, yeah. You know, the whole thing is a very apparent. Why the resistance, I don't know. Right? Because you don't like the way things have been. But then you're so resistant to change that you don't look like you're against the way things had been. Right? Then we come to find out, well, it's not like you don't like the way things had been. You just wanted to be the king in the mountain. The one on top. But when you're not on top, you despise the king on the mountain. Make it make sense.